Hello everyone, my name is Strange, and I believe that people should know the truth. When we started our project, we promised ourselves and each other to publish only verified and rechecked data, not to delve into reasoning and fantasies. The entire artistic background of our testimonies has been worked out by experienced analysts of our organization. But I want to describe the next specific case on my own because it stands out from the galaxy of all our published testimonies and evidence. I thought for a long time about what form to provide all the information I received, but decided to stick to the original. So, just yesterday, I received a voice message to my operational number, delivered using one of the messengers. Next, I will introduce you to the originals of 2 consecutive messages that arrived a few minutes apart. Message 1. The time is 5 a.m.
I'm sorry, I do not know how to contact you, but I have specific information for you. My husband and I need protection.
Message 2. The time is 5 a.m. and 4 minutes.
I want to tell you a long story. I ask you to believe. We can provide evidence. My husband and I moved from the Russian Federation when the vague events began. I think you understand what I'm talking about. My husband is an IT specialist and is completely unsuited to military service. Of course, a decision appeared for us, to leave for Turkey via Georgia. We left the Russian Federation via Verkhny Lars. But it doesn't matter. After moving, we had a long time to wash. My husband earned mere crumbs by programming to order. Besides, his laptop broke.
I listened to the message I received and did not immediately understand what was going on. A long story about moving, wandering, asking for help. I already wanted to interrupt this whole tirade with my phrase, "We are not a fund for assistance to internally displaced persons." But the continuation of the message sent made me think,
My husband and I can be told by accident, but now I understand that everything was planned, and they offered to participate in a pharmaceutical experiment. We used to hear about it. Well, that they recruit a group of people and test pharmaceuticals on them. We were also guaranteed security, and a very round sum. We would have enough for a laptop and rent a more or less decent apartment for a while. We agreed. The experiments were supposed to last a week, but in the end, it ended terribly. I do not know where to start. Are you ready to listen to me, or is it better to listen to my husband?
I listened to the message several times, gave guarantees, verbally of course, and prepared to listen further. I don't know for what reason, but the reply message came only an hour later and already to another messenger. There was a feeling that the interlocutor on the other side was afraid of being followed. I offered to use a messenger with encoding via VPN and continue communication, which I was refused. Probably trust in me was not at the highest mark either, but nevertheless the dialogue continued.
The research was conducted in a clinic outside Ankara. We got there for about 3 hours. The costs were paid for us. I was sent to the box where there were 3 other women, and my husband was taken away separately. All this was stipulated in the contract. They transferred the advance payment to us right away, which was encouraging, at least for me.
So, Turkey, one combination began to form in my head that could be turned. One of our operatives is currently in Turkey, a former military special forces soldier to whom we have provided shelter. Transit through Turkey could be delayed somewhat. The operative can be used to verify the data received. However, it was necessary to think about everything, weigh it and make a concrete decision. The operative agent who is in transit through Turkey is experiencing severe post-traumatic syndrome, suffers from hallucinations. In fact, it is used material, but we are obliged to him. Therefore, we agreed to provide him with shelter after receiving the data. This option is worth considering. However, you can use another operative from under your arm and send him to a specific target. Next, the girl talked about the essence of the experiment.
Every time I fell asleep and woke up on the operating table. Before that, I was given a pill to drink, which made me lose consciousness almost immediately. They explained to me that this is a normal reaction of the body to the pill that I drink. I'm scared, but I feel like I'm at the bottom of a precipice. My husband advises me to forget everything after all. We got the money, but I can't. I'm sorry. Sobbing, crying.
The girl was probably recovering for a few minutes, then another message came.
In a dream. Was it anesthesia or drugs? I do not know. I felt like a dilator was inserted into my vagina. Sorry for the details, of course. Understand? This feeling is familiar to every girl. And then I felt something rubbing against my uterus. Enters it and stays there. I tried to scream, but I couldn't. My body wouldn't obey me. I once told the doctor who observed our group about this, but he gave an unclear explanation that the drug can cause uterine spasms. I probably wanted to believe it myself and calm down, but now I understand it wasn't all a dream.
Then the girl, her name was Katerina, stopped contacting me. She ignored my messages for several days and did not appear in the messenger herself. I did not have the data that would help me identify her and get in touch on my own, or send an operative to a specific point. And it's stupid to shine our agent. Understand that quite certain forces are working around us and against us. This whole story could turn out to be a duck to identify our operatives, me and my subordinates. The message arrived 4 days later in the evening.
Sorry for the absence. When I think about it, I get hysterical. It's hard for me to talk about it. I'm sure they were experimenting on my genitals. I discussed this with my husband. He remembers that after waking up, they were also put into unconsciousness. His penis hurt a lot. The condition was depressed. But that's not all why I turned to you, as an expert on aliens. I saw them. Exactly them. As you described them. Gray humanoids or whatever else to call them. One day I woke up during the experiments. A humanoid face appeared above me. A real one. I even smelled it. It floated right above me. After that, I felt his fingers on my forehead, and a mental impulse. Sleep! I started to lose consciousness, feeling that there was some movement between my legs again. Sobbing.
This has already been done specifically for our department. I got in touch with the transit operative, first found out his condition, and we discussed the action plan. I understood that the girl and her husband were in quite definite danger. Everything was on their face. An alien collaboration with a pharmaceutical company, which is supervised by the Turkish government, most likely under the auspices of the NATO bloc, and therefore the United States. All the people who were subjected to experiments and survived in the aftermath remained under total supervision. Usually people were left alive only so that the experiments could be continued in the future. I gave this girl certain guarantees. In principle, I could not do this. She decided to trust me, but her answer surprised me somewhat.
I'm afraid to give you my contacts and location. I use a fake number issued to another person and use it to log into the messenger. I'm sorry. I do not know what to do.
The familiar espionage mania began. Yes, it's brilliant. You'd think they wouldn't be able to get on their trail through this fake person. But it was felt that the girl was intimidated and knew much more than she was saying. Next is my job. I will find an opportunity to get to it through our operative. He is a professional in his field and will be able to find a needle in a haystack the size of an ocean, and finding a girl in Turkey is a trivial matter for him. I gave the appropriate order, and the result was already a week later. Information received from the operative.
There is no doubt that a semi-legal laboratory for conducting experiments on living people operates on the territory of Turkey. Genetic alien technologies are being used, presumably. The genetic material of female and male organisms is being isolated. The goal is not yet clear, I continue to observe. I am preparing an implementation group. The woman and her husband were interviewed by me. A list of possible research orientation was compiled. I present it to you. 1. The study of the interaction of the human genotype with an alien one. The girl claims that there were representatives of different races among the subjects. 2. Perhaps the addition of alien embryos with subsequent extraction. The girl has a persistent feeling of manipulation in the uterus. She previously experienced an artificial termination of pregnancy. Says that the feelings are similar. 3. Extraction of semen from men. In addition, there is reason to believe that this laboratory is engaged in illegal transplantation and extraction of demanded internal organs. According to the victim's testimony, I can also conclude that we are dealing with a race of roids. Gray humanoids. We know the following from them. 1. Roids are not independent beings with intelligence. This is a race of biorobots that are controlled by some powerful civilization unknown to us. It may well be that they are related to the Centauri described and investigated by your other analyst. 2. The roids have a stable connection with the U.S. Special Services, which allows us to conclude about specific control by the Special Services of the above-mentioned state. 3. Due to the reason for the departure of a married couple from the Russian Federation, we have blocked the possibility of their return to the Russian Federation and the use of special services. In fact, the Roids have chosen an ideal object that cannot be protected in any way.
If your approval is followed, I can provide them with a joint evacuation with me, but I do not know how to use them in the future. The decision is yours. In addition, a thorough medical examination is required, in particular for the injured girl. I cannot conduct an examination in the current conditions.
P.S. I cannot guarantee an adequate result due to an unsatisfactory psychological state. Nevertheless, I will try my best. You squeezed me out like a lemon. I eat tranquilizers by the handful and cannot be responsible for my own regular adequacy. In addition, I have discovered surveillance, if possible. Speed up my evacuation and ensure my safety. Otherwise, I cannot guarantee that I will not crack during the interrogations of you-know-who.
I finished reading the message from the closed communication channel with our operative. It was a mistake to reuse it. The man is at the limit. After all, we need to carry out a joint evacuation to one of our close bases on the border of Iran and Afghanistan near the Helmand River. Our operative is well familiar with that territory. Everything was planned, but our operative stopped contacting us during the agreed period. Instead of the expected message, a message came from the girl who started all this mess.
My husband and I were ready to evacuate, but your employee did not come to the agreed place. We decided to return to the Russian Federation on our own. We don't know how, but we will try.
I didn't answer them. I knew that most likely our operative was already dead, and this couple was gonna die in the next few hours or days. Everything is a failure. Subscribe to our channel because this is how we achieve our goal. Let me remind you, my name is Strange, and I believe that people should know the truth. Humanity. What a strong word, strong and fragile at the same time. How many challenges has history thrown at humanity? There are many. Great wars and great epidemics. The extravagance of politicians, the terrible hatred of some bipeds for others, ethnic cleansing, cataclysms, and catastrophes. Humanity lives and continues to live at the level of development allowed to it by the universe and Providence itself. But that's not all. It's not all that humanity can experience for itself. Earth is the jewel in the crown of the universe. A planet inhabited by intelligent beings, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of species of living beings. And all this is threatened by the cosmic mind. So far, humanity has only touched the edges of universal malice. Its metastases have penetrated only on the surface. Everything is secret, implicit and covered with darkness. But specific living people suffer, become drugs in inhumane experiments, disappear without a trace, become victims of malice, thirst for murder and lust on the part of aliens. For you, I am Strange, and I will not stop trying to open your eyes, to give you an understanding of the true picture of the world. I won't stop telling you the truth. This time, we will talk about the story that I already thought was over, namely, about two internally displaced persons, a husband and wife who left the territory of Russia a year and a half ago and ended up in Turkey. I don't want to be spontaneous in my judgments, but apparently they couldn't find their place in life in any way. The husband, an IT specialist with very average abilities, decided to leave his country in connection with recent events. His wife naturally followed him. They were trying to make a living in Turkey by doing odd jobs on a freelance basis, but they suffered a series of setbacks which led them to the doors of the Nushotak pharmaceutical company, whose offices are spread from the Turkish Aceburan to Cape Anamur. In the company, they were invited to participate in a number of pharmacological experiments for a fee. Of course, they were guaranteed safety, but no one warned them that experiments related to alien genetic engineering technologies would be conducted on them. At that time, I decided to connect our agent in Turkey to them, but due to the most difficult psychological overload, our agent broke down and the experimental couple stopped contacting me, independently interrupting contact with me. It's still a mystery to me how they were able to reach me. So the system is not perfect, there are gaps. So get to the point. Already considering the couple and my agent decommissioned at 21 Doro PM, I received such a message on a satellite phone with the ability to record and receive messages via the 5G network. The message made my hair stand on end.
Hello, Strange. You must remember me. I contacted you. We are a family who left the Russian Federation. You promised to help us. Do you remember? We need your help now more than ever. Your agent made an appointment for us, but did not show up for the meeting. I feel constantly being watched, and I'm pregnant. It turned out quite recently. The timing does not match the timing of a normal pregnancy. And it's not about me and my husband. Well, you know.
The message was interrupted. It all seemed strange. Our agent did not come to the meeting for objective reasons. The agent surveillance service brought me a report that the agent was dead. He could not withstand the psychological stress, his consciousness was clouded. And it all ended with a banal suicide. I knew that. An hour later, a new message arrived.
I do not know how you can help me. I'm desperate. I don't even know what to tell you. I'm pregnant, and the last prenatal ultrasound showed multiple structural abnormalities. I was sent back to the pharmacological company, Nushurtak, the same one where they experimented on us. I'm paranoid. I feel like it's all for a reason. My husband has completely changed. He hears voices in his sleep, suffers, and moves away from me more and more. I look into his eyes and do not recognize the person I fell in love with. Help us.
I couldn't help but be interested in all this. In fact, I took responsibility for these people back then. It's not my fault that they refused to help themselves and disappeared. On the other hand, our agent did not work. Conversations about trust began again. The girl refused to give her contacts or her husband's contacts, as I did not explain to her about the closed channel. They were in Turkey, a NATO country. We have certain opportunities there, but very limited. I cannot spend agents, which, by the way, are few in number. Some of them work directly on the territory. I needed at least 1 hour to comprehend the situation and analyze it on my own. Then another hour to run all the introductions through the analytical neural network that I personally grew. In addition, one unpleasant thought tickled in my soul, that if all this is not a very subtle intelligence game, in order to declassify part of our capacities, declassify and destroy. Do you think I value my life? Not at all. Others will take my place. I value you. I have a lot to do. 2 hours later, the neural network gave out an answer and an option that basically coincided with mine.
It will be possible to ensure the safety of the victims only in the territory of possible control. Leaving Russia was a mistake. Currently, the influence of positive space forces cooperating for the benefit of humanity has been noticed on the territory of the Russian Federation. The probability of surveillance of objects is 90%.
Surveillance, of course. What do we know in the bottom line? Currently, a number of experiments on human hybridization with alien organisms are being conducted in Europe, which involves the special services of NATO and therefore the United States. As for the countries, I can say with absolute certainty that these experiments are being conducted under the auspices of various pharmaceutical companies in Turkey, Slovenia, Bosnia, and Romania. Until recently, namely before the withdrawal of the US Army contingent from Afghanistan, experiments were conducted there, by the way, almost openly. Everything was disguised as illegal organ transplantation. People were kidnapped, became victims of experiments, and enterprising people with star-striped buttonholes did business so that they could distract the special services of other countries from the true background. It is necessary to somehow inspire the transfer of husband and wife objects from Turkey to Romania. But this is just an ordinary air flight, and after that they need to be removed from surveillance by NATO special agents. Most likely they are waiting for the natural delivery of a pregnant test subject, playing and possibly aware of my interaction with them. Most likely they know. They scroll through their combinations. Romania is one of the dangerous points to cross, but there will be a tornado after that. I had a specific plan. The contact persons from Romania had to move to Ukraine. In the maelstrom of events, chances, and windows of opportunity, everything could turn out as it should. I presented my thoughts to the contact persons, promised help, financially of course, and heard an interesting answer.
But it's dangerous there, because they can kill us there. Are you suggesting crossing the border illegally and then through Mukachevo or Truskovets to get to Kiev and contact the Red Cross? And the documents? It's all so complicated. My husband is getting worse and worse. I can barely hold on myself. I have nightmares, understand? This thing inside me.
The plan was risky, difficult to implement, but doable. It is impossible to leave Ukraine now, but it is quite possible to enter. and the Romanian border guards themselves can provide a corridor for a certain fee and open a free entrance without customs and other controls. Then Kiev, and there the International Organization of the Red Cross. I have my own man there, and from Ukraine back to his native country. Only there will I be able to ensure their safety, guaranteed by positive cosmic forces. The plan was unambiguous and began to be slowly implemented. A week later, I received a message on my cell phone, on a messenger in dual VPN mode.
We crossed the Romanian border. We got clean documents. I don't know how you do it all, but we did it. The Romanian border guards twisted their finger at our temples, called us crazy, but they helped. It was very scary. I'm still scared. I'm sorry. We got on the phone with a man from the Red Cross. Can you really protect us in Moscow?
Of course, I answered yes. I couldn't tell the whole truth. In fact, all this is an act of pure altruism. After all, she will die during delivery even if she performs a cesarean section. We know from scientific research that alien embryos are implanted in almost all vital organs. The girl is doomed. Besides, it is not completely known what is wrong with her husband. In Russia, it was possible to try to save at least him. Besides, for all the time that had passed, the danger that threatened him and caused his departure had been leveled. But I am responsible for what happens in front of me. After sending a message to the contact persons, I immediately requested the reports and information we received about human hybridization. I was completely immersed in papers, diagrams, digital reports. We need to find a way. We need to find at least the slightest chance and save their lives, both the husband and his wife. After all, the only thing I do is save human life. A day later, a message came from a Red Cross employee. Now everything depended only on him. We have to wait. The last message from the contact person came a week later.
We are in a rented apartment. We change places. We move almost every day. I feel that soon. The lower abdomen is constantly pulling and burning. I am a woman. I feel that the pain should be different. I am afraid. No.
The message was interrupted by a scream of pain, a screech of inhuman suffering. After that, the contact was cut off. It's gone wrong. It's gone wrong again. After 6 hours, the terrible guess was confirmed by a Red Cross employee.
I have been highlighted. The male object has been sent to the destination point. Wait. The female object is dead. The rehabilitation of the object and the destruction of the bacteria was carried out personally.
It was clear what he called a bacterium, and everything was also clear about the fate of the contacts. That's it. But in addition, I received a message from a Red Cross agent in my mail. A message with a very specific content.
Strange, be careful. The man will be transferred through an exchange program and will most likely get to the special services. He has all the signs of a biorobot. They changed his mind and put in a program. It was not possible to figure out which one. While he was under my control, I injected him with inhibitors, but when their effect ends, I cannot vouch for his behavior. The program will start working. In fact, he does not adequately perceive reality. A complete lack of emotional background. If you remember, we have already met with such manifestations.
Of course I remembered. One of these mind-altering creatures left me with a very large scar on my chest during a battle in underground caves when we tracked down a group of bombed biorobots that were being made out of people. Fate does paradoxical things to people, sometimes incredible and tragic. Our fate is beyond our control, even though we entertain the illusion of independence. From birth, a huge web spreads out in front of us, which entangles the space around us in a three-dimensional network. We take our first breath and get to the fork between life and death, survive and move on, getting to the fork again and again, choose and go our own way. But what do we know about the path itself? Absolutely nothing, and we cannot predict the tricks that Providence is preparing for us. We do not know that we are in a huge world and in a huge cosmos. He seems distant and beautiful to us, but I assure you, he is terrible in all his manifestations. I am strange, and I will tell you the truth. Remember, space is not the creator of life. It is a sophisticated, terrible killer that opens access to our world to an evil mind outside our solar system. And they are already among us. They are next to us, walking behind our backs. A man and his wife, who were subjected to inhuman experiments on genetic interbreeding with alien organisms in Turkey, experienced hell on earth. They had no idea what the flight from Russia to Turkey would mean for them. We couldn't save the woman no matter how hard we tried. I lost one of my agents. But by ensuring the escape to Romania and then to Ukraine and Russia, we were able to save the man. Now he is attached to one of our agents, by the way, a woman who officially works for the Red Cross. I won't go into my daily routine, but a significant portion of the morning time is spent browsing news trends, instant messengers, and listening to hundreds of messages. Of course, the message from the employee in whose care the rescued man was a priority.
Strange, sir. The object stays with me. Currently, I use fixation devices, to put it simply, a straitjacket and aggression inhibitors, those drugs that you once recommended to me. So far everything is fine, but I ask you to send an evacuation group to Rostov-on-Don as soon as possible.
I put down my smartphone. The girl's voice was agitated. The previous agent who transported the man from Ukraine to Russia warned that a program was embedded in the mind of the object. That is, it is in fact no longer a person but a biorobot. We have destroyed all biorobots before, regardless of the fact that they are human. There is a struggle going on, and we are losing in this struggle. All means are good, but I believe someday everything will change, and we will expel all alien evil spirits from our planet. A day later, I held a briefing with the evacuation team. 3 young men were sitting in a motorboat in the middle of the lake. I was sitting in the bow. The location was chosen perfectly. The possibility of wiretapping was excluded, and people were checked and rechecked by me many times. I bought the boat an hour before the briefing, brought it to the lake myself, waited for my people, and we launched it. The call signs of my agents from the evacuation group are Alpha, Valentin, and Beta. Alpha was rubbing his fists, he was ready for business, and I liked his mood.
Strange. We need an accurate location. Is the object stationary or shifting?
I'm looking at the water. Your destination is Rostov-on-Don. Another one of my people will come to you there in the city, and he will fully provide routes. Valentin threw the cigarette butt overboard.
Don't you trust us?
I lit a cigarette myself, pushing an ampule of poison in a cigarette pack, which I am always ready to use in case of maximum risk of being captured. I don't trust anyone, Valentine, just like you. Verification and only verification, conspiracy and conspiracy again. And you knew that when you agreed to work. Beta didn't let me finish.
A weapon?
I've been waiting for this question. You will act only with cold steel. You will get it on the spot. And I warn you right away, no nunchucks and shurikens. I stare at Valentine intently. He lowers his eyes and nods his head understandingly. And don't leave a trace, like last time when you captured the object. Valentine looks up again.
Last time we risked our lives, only I was left of the group.
Yes, I remember. And one more thing. Just an hour before this meeting, I received another message on my messenger from a Red Cross agent. I'm letting my people listen to it.
Strange. I haven't slept for the 2nd day. The subject is receiving inhibitors, but I lowered the dose. The subject is partially out of control. He talks to me, inclines me to cooperate. His language is spoken by someone else, but perhaps an embedded program is operating. I can't do this alone. You said that the program was partially neutralized back in Ukraine by your man, but the program has not been removed. It is working. Are you sure about your man?
Alpha is silent. Valentine is too. Beta takes the floor. Despite the call sign, he is the eldest of the group and the oldest in age.
Why not order her to liquidate the facility? We could bring the carcass or just his brain.
And this question is expected for me. I want to get the biorobot alive. It seems to me that we could explore behavioral factors, learn how to remove locks on our own, or at least choose means of struggle.
I see. Another question. Should I clean up the Red Cross agent?
No way. She's my person, but be sure to check her for recruitment. I hand Beta an ample syringe from my pocket. He takes the ample and hides it in his own case.
Is the serum true?
Yes. That same evening, my people went to Rostov-on-Don. According to my forecast, contact with my person will happen at night. He will provide them with a route, highlight objects and a specific address, ensure, and if necessary, clean up the unfinished. Analytical software and neural networks guaranteed 97.3% of the implementation. This is almost a guaranteed success. All possibilities and nuances were taken into account. During the night, I received 2 messages, one from a hidden support agent, the second from Beta. The first message.
Strange. People have been accepted. Routes are provided. The route of approach. action, and departure. For safety reasons, I am in contact to provide alternative routes. In addition, an agent from the Red Cross is being herded. I found and removed surveillance from her. 2 gray ones.
The second message is directly from Beta.
The route is secured. The necessary funds have been purchased. We are working according to the plan at 0400 Moscow time. We will report on the implementation.
Initially, it was decided to transport the object in the trunk of the car. The car itself was provided by a cover agent. All that remained was to wait. Nothing else depended on me. I was sitting at my desk, having given myself an intravenous injection of a stimulant. Lately, I've been abusing them, as usual, in a special operation, when a constant sense of control was required. I haven't slept for the 4th day. After that, I will have a recovery period. At this time, I will entrust everything to my deputy with the call sign Incognito. I have already talked about him. In addition, he himself actively shares information with those who want to see through and understand how our world works. At night, a message came from the smartphone of the Red Cross agent, the same girl, but the voice did not belong to her. The voice was male, squealing and breaking.
Strange! You know who I am and who we are? We know everything! Every step you take! We can read information directly from the brain. We offer you cooperation because we can do everything! Your planet already belongs to us. We will make you the viceroy of mankind. We will bend everyone to our will. Stop bothering us.
A cold sweat broke out on me. It's a natural horror. Have they outplayed us again? No, it can't be. I grab my smartphone and bring it almost to my mouth, screaming furiously. Scum! What's with the agent? What did you do to her? A few seconds later, a photo message came to the messenger. A small grey room, a torn straitjacket, blood, pieces of a human body, and a woman's severed head. A voice message followed, an impudent, high-pitched laugh. I clutched my head. Nausea rose in my throat. I could barely hold back the spasms. My head was buzzing. No, it can't be! No! We need to get to the undercover agent and contact Beta. We need to prepare the liquidation. Just destroy this thing! But cold reason also suggested something else. These creatures want to negotiate, promise some kind of preferences. So everything I do, everything we do is right, and it hinders them. It does not allow them to complete something that they alone know. They wanted to demoralize me, but in response, I will become even more active. You can't break me. You won't get that from me. I will not give you such pleasure. It was also clear that the agent in Ukraine was part of their diabolical plan. He was recruited. I opened the messenger for Beta. Beta, get in touch. Evacuation is cancelled. Completely sanitize the facility. In response, I heard a short one.
We are working.
An hour later, the undercover agent reported to me.
The apartment has been cleaned. You will get a trophy of the creature's brain. A container. Valentin is dead. Alpha is seriously injured. I'm providing control and cleanup. Beta has been sent back. Strange. I've never seen this before. We've known each other for many years, but it hasn't happened yet. He was eating her alive, injecting her with the inhibitors she used to fix him. This is an act of intimidation.
I put down my smartphone. The mood was lousy. We urgently need to change tactics and approach, or we will continue to lose our people. This should not be allowed. A day later, I read the report of Special Agent Bet, and I refused a personal meeting. Let him undergo rehabilitation. He's my man. He knows how to control himself, but I didn't want to look him in the eye. The operation was thought out by me, and as it turned out in the end, not enough. I'm just a human being, and I made a mistake. The truth that was proven earlier has been proven again, but I relaxed and allowed myself to think differently. Everything that has come into contact with an alien mind is hostile to us, and the hostile is subject to destruction. I wanted to do something different. Beta's report.
We contacted the support agent on time. Communication, routes, and special equipment were provided. When we entered the address, we found a bloodied man who pretended to be asleep or unconscious. Valentin showed imprudence and approached the object lying on the floor, tried to turn it over. He died. During the struggle, the Alpha was seriously injured, and I got into a knife fight with the object. He attacked outside the usual attacking matrix for a human, moving on all fours and standing in a gymnastic bridge position. incredible speed and flexibility. The creature was hit and handed over to a support agent. It took 5 hours to make the brain preparation, taken out by me for a research laboratory.
At the end of the report, there was a sweeping postscript.
Strange. If there is another such assignment, then I will act according to Protocol 17.1 and resign.
I grimaced as I read this postscript. Protocol 17.1 meant the agent's suicide. Voluntary retirement from life. Yes, we also worked on this option, for which each of my agents underwent special psycho training. We are fighting only alien zombies in human and non-human forms, making biorobots out of our own agents. But as I said before, our goal justifies the means.